Joining us now to share some expert tips and resources for those struggling with their mental health is Dr. Bruce Figuered, who also serves as the CEO and president of Jackson House. Good to see you, Bruce. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. So, a lot of people are upset. Some are happy, mixed feelings after the election and going into the election. What are some of the things that you can kind of tell people if you're really feeling unnerved about some of this? What do you do?
Well, I mean, maybe to start with, I mean, this is one of the most highly charged political elections that we've seen, like at least that I remember. There's more money spent in this election, and so the job of a lot of the politicians is to play on people's fears. Play on people's fears about what might happen if you vote for one party or another party, and so along with that, when one party, as it becomes more and more polarized, when one party wins or the other party wins, then people can be left with feeling anxious or worried or stressed. So in order to deal with those kinds of things, I think that people really first need to understand what they're going through, really have an awareness of what it is that's causing them to feel the way that they're feeling. Yeah.
Once you've figured it out and you're upset and you're angry, what do you do? Are there some techniques or some things maybe don't look at social media or or talk to friends, or maybe don't talk to a certain friend or something along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, I think you start to have an awareness of, there's a connection between your thoughts and your emotions. And so like as you become more aware of what you're thinking about and what your thoughts are, if you have really extreme thoughts, that can lead to very extreme emotions such as anxiety, depression, feeling helpless. Also, like as it relates to politics specifically, there's a certain degree of helplessness that goes along with it. You might have really, really strong beliefs about what's happening in the country, but we're not in charge and we can't really do a whole lot about it. So there's this big gap between what we think about and what we really hold strong in terms of our beliefs, and that what we can actually do about it. So understanding that as a person, and then having some grounding techniques, doing some mindfulness, doing some meditation, having an understanding of your thoughts, and not catastrophizing things so much that the world's not going to end. I mean, this our country's been around for hundreds of years, and the politics have swung back and forth, and it hasn't ended. Everything's going to be okay.
On the one hand, I could see somebody saying, "Well, I'm just not even going to think about it. I'm going to go for a bike ride or go for a walk or enjoy something totally separate where I get my mind off it." And then maybe you can also get some, I guess, comfort in maybe joining an organization that is designed, with your, I guess, ideas in mind, and maybe going at it that way.
Absolutely, yeah. Disconnect, unplug, engage in activities that are healthy and are, and help to keep your mind off of, some of these fears that you might have. So those are all great techniques.
We've got the holidays coming up, and sometimes you're with a family member and they disagree with you on politics and other things. Maybe they voted for the other person than you voted for. How do you handle a situation like that?
Well, it's come up in my household. I have family that comes into town and they don't hold the same political beliefs, so we don't talk about politics. We talk about other things. We talk about the kids. We talk about sports. We talk about things that won't necessarily lead to conflict because especially around the holidays, you don't want to have a whole lot of that around your house.
Yeah, you don't need that. All right. Oh, and there's some of the health lines, and obviously call you at Jackson House too. Bruce Figuered. Good to see you, Bruce. Thanks for swinging by.
Great to see you. Yeah, thank you.
Teresa.